Hey guys, so today we are going to be cutting these clothes, but ours will be in form of a jumpsuit. Also, the style of the hand will be different. Instead of using elastic at the tip, ours is going to be a freer tip. So the first thing we need is our fabric divided into two, using the size of your tie. Whatever your tie measurement is, just divide it into two. For the sake of this clothes, the tie measurement is 30 inches divided into two. We are going to have 15 inches. So I'm folding my fabric to make sure it is in 15 inches. Remember I said it's a jumpsuit in this case. The one that was used as an example was a trouser and top which was tucked in. But this one is a jumpsuit. So after folding your fabrics into two, getting your 15 inches, remember your tie measurement divided by 2 is what you use in folding your trousers. So I removed 16 inches off, which is for the upper bodice of the jumpsuit. I took 16 inches off. After taking 16 inches off, I checked the remaining if it's enough for the length of what I want. I needed 16 inches, of which I realized it was good. So next thing I'll be getting is my crotch measurement. Your crotch measurement is your hip divided into 4. Your hip divided into 4. So for this, my hip is 45. I divided into 4. I had 11 points. I just made it 11.5 inches. So that is me taking my crotch measurement. After getting your crotch measurement, the next thing you want to do is to measure your waist. Your waist measurement divided by 4 plus that and sewing allowance is what I measured there. My waist measurement divided by 4 plus that and sewing allowance. I came down 4 inches. And I measured my hip measurement divided by 4 again plus sewing allowance. So that was what I ruled out. My waist measurement divided by 4 plus that and sewing allowance. My hip measurement divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. So I took the straight line down and I'm going to have my curve. You can use a curving ruler to get the curve for your trouser if your hand is not yet perfect for drawing. But if your hand is, you do not need a ruler. I always tell people the freehand method is very, very easy and simple. You don't have to start using paper all the time. But if you cannot work with the freehand method, please use paper and go along with your rulers. So after doing that, okay, I was trying to get the proper waist measurement, which is going to allow me to slant my trousers. If you are deep in, you are sewing ordinary trouser and you want to put elastic, you can just do your measurements without cutting off the waist to make it the exact measurements, like you had some inches allowance, because of the elastic you are going to put. But because this is a jumpsuit and we are going to make it fitted, that is why I'm making it almost my measurements aside from the allowance. So the next thing I do is my waist to my knee. Because of the way the shape of the trouser is, I measured my waist to my knee, which gave me 20 inches. So I'm going to measure my tie. Remember I said my tie is 30 divided by 2, which is 15, which is what I took there. So from my waist to my knee, whatever I have round, my round knee measurement, I also will be dividing it by 2. So I took my round knee measurement divided by 2, which I already chalked there. And I'm going to take this measurement and measure it down. My round knee was 20 inches. So I measured this down. When I got to the lower part, because it's going to be a straight trouser, it's not a boost cut, neither is it a penciled trouser. I just added small inches, like 20 divided by 2 for the knee part was 10. So when I was getting to the lower part, I started adding like 2 inches extra to make it a bit free. So that is what I have sketched out here, as you can see. The next thing I have to do is to cut it out. Cut out what I had already chalked on my material. You can see. So after doing this, the next thing I'm going to be doing after trimming is to take 1 inch lower at my waist side. This allows for firmness of the trouser on you. I took 1 inch off from that part. Sorry, it's cut off from the camera. So next thing, I hadn't even taken it. So next thing I'm going to do is to replace it on the fabric again. But this time around, I'm going to be adding 2 inches extra by the sides. The back is usually bigger than the front for trousers. Check your ready-mates, check your jean. You realize that the back is usually bigger than the front. And this is because of the butt, to allow the butt to sit well and to allow the trouser to sit well on you as well. So after doing that, at that crotch place, I'm going to add 2 inches extra to the front of the crotch. And I'm going to measure it 4 inches down. As you can see, I took 2 inches to make it wider. And I measured 4 inches down. Then I'm going to just give it a slant drawing down. This is because of the butt area. Remember, the bum bum is bigger. So for the bust to sit well in your trousers, you need to make the crotch part of the back longer. That's why I took it 2 inches wide and 4 inches low. And I'm going to just cut it out. This is what I have. The lower part of my jumpsuit is ready. Remember I was saying something the other time about bringing 1 inch down. This is what I want to do here for the front part of the trouser alone, not the back part. This allows for your trouser to sit well in the tummy area. It allows for firmness. Many people do not know this. So I'm going to take 1 inch off. My trouser is ready. So after this, we're going to move to the upper part of the clothes. Let's go into it. Yeah, I divided the sides. For those people who do not know, you divide the sides of the trousers. Both sides, both the sides, the front and the back. Because you are going to sew that part. Some people don't, but I like to divide it so it gives me accurate measurements when I want to start sewing. So let's move to the top. So this is me. What you need for this top is your bust measurement divided by 4. So for the sake of this cloth, my bust is 40. 40 divided by 4 will give you 10. So I took the 16 inches off that I took from the trousers earlier, and I added 1 inch allowance for sewing in. So that's 17 inches for the longness of the fabric. I'm going to cut it out. So my proper measurement begins. I told you my bust is 40. 40 divided by 4 is going to give you 10 plus sewing allowance. You can do 11. People can do 12, depending on the number of allowances you want in your clothes. If you're someone that will have weight on time, or if it's for a client, I know it's something that you have to still readjust. You can add up to 2 inches allowance. So the next thing I did was to measure my neckline. For the width of my neckline, I used 3. For the lowness, I used 1. I measured my back inches divided by 2. I measured my armhole. My armhole is 19 divided by 2. It gave me 9 inches. So I just took that and I drew the line. You can use your ruler to get this curve if you know your hand is not straight. Then I'm going to take down my armhole. Since it is 9, the half of 9 is 4.5. I took that 4.5, I chalked it, and I'm going to go in by 1 inch. It allows for firmness of the armhole on you when you wear your clothes. So after that, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 inch off again. If you check well, from the armhole to the neck area, I took 1 inch off. It allows my clothes to sit well on my shoulder. That's the 1 inch off I'm cutting off. And I'm going to cut my neckline, which I did. Then I re-measured my bust circumference to make sure it is accurate. I realized that it was too big, so I remeasured my waist. My waist divided by 4 plus sewing allowance and that allowance. That is it for the waist. That's how you measure your waistline. So I had it and I chalked it out and I cut it. Whatever I cut at the front will be replicated at the back. The only difference is that the back is going to have extra 1.5 or 2 inches allowance for zip. So which is what I did. So this is me replacing the fabric, but adding allowance for zip this time around. You can use 2 inches for your zip allowance. You can use 1. You can use 1.5. It just depends on what works well for you. But as a beginner, I advise you use 2 inches in case your clothes has mistake. It makes it easier for you to amend, unlike when you don't have any allowance in your clothes at all. So this is me just laying my clothes or cutting out what I already have after taking the 2 inches off. So for the back part, I'm going to slit into 2 because of the zip area. So this is me cutting the same neckline for the front and the back. The reason why I'm making the neckline equal is because of the way the neckline of this towel is. That is why I'm making both the front and the back equal. Now watch what I am going to do here. Because if you check that style well, it was slanted. The left part was slanted. So I'm just measuring the 2 inches allowance I took off from the back. And I chalked it so I'll be able to place the other side because I want to slant the neckline now. So I put my front bodice on my back bodice. You have this. You make sure it aligns well. I took my time to arrange it properly. After that, then you give it the slant you want to give. In many cases, the slanting of clothes is usually on the left side. Only if the customer requires that you make it for them on the right side. Same way for slits. So for my slanting, I made sure I took it down to the armhole area, but not fully to the armhole area. You need to leave some spaces because of you are going to use the remaining space for joining your hand. So you can slant it whichever way you want. You can give it any style, any design you want. But for the sake of what is in that style, we just did the normal slanting from the neck area to the armhole. That is what I did. So I took my time to trim it all so you can see. Then I cut out the lining. I used lining for that upper part to make it stay well. So it's time to cut the hand. The length of the hand is 24 inches. You know, I told you she's going to have free yard. So I took 6 inches off for the free yard. Then I measured my armhole. Remember I said it's 18 divided by 2, 9. So you measure that 9 out, but you can add 1 or 2 inches extra for the sake of allowance. So I measured 11. For the sake of allowance in this clothes, took 11 off. After taking 11 off, I'm going to measure 6. That is the 6 I just pointed. Then from 6 here, this is me trying to adjust it. This is 6. Then from 6, I'm going to take 2 inches down like this. Then I'm going to give it a curve. You can use your curving ruler if you have, and if you do not, you can use this method. Then my biceps divided by 2. That is my round arm. The arm part divided by 2 is what I'm going to be having there. Don't forget to add allowance in your clothes. In case there is a mistake, always put allowance. You can put up to 2 inches allowance. It is better than the clothes being tight and there's no chance for adjustment. So this is me just taking it down to my wrist area. Then I cut it off down to my wrist area. This is me cutting it off. I'm going to replace it for the second hand, but there's going to be a slight difference in the second hand because of the way the style is. Remember, it is slitted, so the ends are not going to be totally the same. So for the second hand, the first thing I'm going to do is to replace this by recutting it the same. Just watch. So this is me recutting it the same. Then, after recutting it the same, what I am going to do to the left hand, because of the slit or the slant on the left hand rather, that extra part I'm going to cut it off. It wouldn't be needed because the slanted area, we've already cut off some parts of the armhole. So what is left is the pleated area for the trousers. So you can make your pleated area freered. You can make it just straight before putting the pleat. I made mine just straight because my fabric was not enough again. Mind you, I already took off the freered from my hand. I took that off camera. I was unable to record it. So what is left is just the pleat for the side of the trousers. You can just make it straight depending on the length you want, depending on how full you want your pleats to be.